Hey guys, my name's Max. I am an International Relations Master's student here at the University of Portsmouth, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing my 5 top tips for remaining productive during lockdown. So we all know that feeling, right? You go to bed, you've got loads of work you need to be doing. As you go to bed, you think, right, tomorrow I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to get this done. And it seems easy, right? But then when you wake up, you slowly start to realize that maybe this is more important, or maybe I should really watch that series everyone's talking about, and slowly the work kind of fades from your view. And before you know it, you're there, it's 6 p.m. in the evening, you've done maybe 10 minutes of reading or whatever, and you feel guilty and you feel like you're behind. And it's so common, I think, at the moment, given the current situation we're in. It's really easy to fall into that kind of trap, really. I mean, and it is a trap. Normally, I think, if you weren't in lockdown, you're physically going to places. If you're going to the library or you're going to seminars, it's got a nice routine that helps you to stay on task and stay focused. But in lockdown, it's a lot easier. So these are just 5 tips really that I personally have used. And they wouldn't work for everyone, not necessarily, but I think they offer you a nice kind of basis of just little ways that you can try and remain productive and try and create a sense of order and structure to your day. So my first tip is making a routine. Now this seems strange, right? We wake up, we live in probably one room. Maybe if you're in a student house, you've just got literally your bedroom, you've got a desk. You can go outside maybe for a walk, but that's about as far as it goes. And that can feel like a big impediment. That can feel like it's stopping you, right, from creating this routine. But you can kind of, I think, foster a fake routine, if you will. So one of the things I like to do is in the morning, I'll wake up, I'll have my coffee, and I'll try and wake up kind of before 8 a.m. just to kind of give a sense of, or create a sense of it's like a job, right? My uni work is a 9 to 5. And then what I'll do is I'll have my breakfast and then I'll just literally go for a walk around the block. It just needs to be like 10 minutes. But it creates a feeling that I'm commuting somewhere, right? I'm going from my home, I'm leaving, I'm literally walking around the block, and then I'm coming back to my house. And but now the house is suddenly mysteriously transformed into my workplace. This is where I go to do my work. And then likewise, at the end of the day, once you've done your work, I leave the house again, I go for the same walk, and I'm back, and suddenly it's my house again, right? It's where I come to relax. And I find just separating this, creating this routine is really useful for making you feel in your head that you've gone somewhere else to do your work. And it does, in a weird way, make you feel more productive. So for my second tip, this one's a bit more specific. And what this is when I'm doing some work, I'm sat at my desk and say I'm reading an article or I'm listening to a lecture or whatever, I find very often, especially during lockdown, is that little things pop into my head, little distractions kind of pop up that makes me think, right, no, tell you what, I'm going to pause this, I'm going to stop reading this, I'm just going to check that. It'll take me, in my head, 10 seconds, I'll just check that, I'll just do that, whatever. And then I'll come back to what I'm doing. And what I find is when you go away, say when you go to check, I don't know, what the weather's going to be like next week or whatever pops into your head, suddenly that thing that you expected was going to take 10 seconds has suddenly taken 35 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever. And before you know it, it's 5 p.m. again, and you've done not as much work as you were hoping. So this is a new technique that I've kind of worked out in the last, maybe just in this last lockdown, and that's to write down the little things that pop into my head. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm doing my uni work, I'm making notes, I'm being productive, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden my brain goes, do you know what? No, there's something you haven't thought of. It's vital. And you need to go check it now. And whatever you do, you must go and have a look at it. And if you don't, you're going to, you're going to be distracted, whatever. So what I do is I literally just write it down. So here's a couple of random examples. I've suddenly remembered, oh, look, I need to buy some milk. And I just write it down and then I go back to work. And then, another one comes up. Is the Isle of Wight Festival cancelled this year? Blah, blah, blah. I just quickly write it down and then go back to my work. And what I find is, what this means is, if I've written it down, it's there, I can still deal with it. My brain's still thinking, all right, you've been productive, you put it down, you know what you remember what you need to remember, whatever. but then you can go back to your work. And then at the end of my work day or whatever, I can go back and look at this, and then often, I mean, some of these will be completely pointless, and I can just cross them out and forget about them, and it's just my brain playing a trick, trying to kind of distract you. But sometimes actually they're really interesting or really important, and I've not forgotten about them. So I find this helps just to differentiate what you're focusing on. You focus on your work, and then if some distraction comes up and it's still relevant at the end of the day, you've got it here to refer to. So for my third tip, now this is one of my favorite, and it's literally take a proper lunch. It sounds weird, right? You think, yeah, of course, I'm always gonna take a proper lunch. But if you make it, again, building into this fake workday type approach, if you make it like, right, no, I've got an hour, and lunch hour, I'm gonna have my lunch, I'm gonna go away from my desk as well. And then, once you've had your lunch, watch a bit of Parks and Rec or something, or read a book, or go for a walk, whatever, and then come back to your work desk after that hour's over. Then it really gives you, again, that sense of detachment from your work, which is important, especially when you're at home in the same place all the time. But also it gives you that opportunity to really enjoy a bit of structure in your day, and also just enjoy your lunch, relax a bit. And then it's that separation between your workspace and your living space. So building on from that, my fourth tip is separate your living space from your working space. Now, what I mean by this is, at the end of the day, right, it's been a long day of uni work, you've had loads of readings to do, you've had loads of lectures, it hits the point where you're like, right, no, stop, I'm not working anymore. You close down one tab and you open up Netflix, and then suddenly, mysteriously, your desk has gone from your workspace to your living space. Now, if you just do it like this, yeah, sure, at the end of the day, you can get straight into what you want to be doing. But I find that it makes it really hard to differentiate and separate those two things, my relaxation time and my work time. So what I do, and this may sound weird, right, but I honestly recommend just trying it at least just once, is I pack away everything, right? I pack away my work notes, I close all of the tabs on Google Chrome, I pack away all my books and put them in a drawer, and then I go away, make a cup of tea, and come back to a clear space. And now this desk that I'm working on all the time, it's the same desk, nothing's changed, but it feels now like, right, no, this is my leisure space. And then only then, that's when I'll watch Netflix or Zoom friends or play video games. And again, this sounds like such a small change and almost a bit pointless, right? You're spending 5-10 minutes clearing your desk and then putting it back out again the next day. But in terms of mental clarity in your head and that separation, I think it's invaluable, because it just means that for you, you've got a completely different mindset, and you can properly unwind. No one wants to be watching Netflix and then looking down at your lecture notes and thinking, oh dear, I've forgotten something and I need to do that now for this essay or that essay or whatever. That's not relaxing for anyone, and actually I think it can be counterproductive. So my fifth and final tip is, again, slightly more of a practical one, and that is to record the time you spend working, right? So there are so many different apps that do this, and you can also, just use stopwatches on the internet or stopwatches on iOS and Android. And what I mean is, set up a schedule in your day, time how much you want to spend on things, and then literally just record the time you spend. And what I do, I use this in conjunction with tip number 2, which is to write down distractions. So, I can tell myself, look, I've only worked on, say, this article, or I've only worked on this workshop, whatever, in that time, and then record it. So I do one 30-minute session, and then I literally just write down on a piece of paper 30 minutes time 1, and then I do another one. Again, I add to the tally. And what this does, it gives you, at the end of the day, a record of how much time you've spent. Because one of the things I found to be so prevalent during this lockdown is that kind of self-doubt, that kind of, I've not been as productive as I want to be, or I've not quite worked as hard as I wanted to today. And actually, no, if you do this, you can look back, show yourself at the end of the day, no, look, I've got a record. This is how much time I've spent on this. I have, even if you haven't, completed everything you wanted to have done, you've got proof that you've worked on it. And this can be so important, just, having that mental clarity that is so vital to kind of deal with this lockdown, but also as a record to yourself that, no, look, you have done work. And you could even tally it up into kind of months or even years, and show yourself, look, this is how much time I spent during that very difficult time on my studies. And it's a nice, it might seem like more work, but it's a nice way to kind of keep a record of just how productive you've been, and it's a kind of nice way, especially if you're someone that likes to see clear data about the changes you're making. It's a really good way to record that. So guys, thank you ever so much for watching this video about my top 5 tips to be productive. If you have any really good ones, please do put them down in the comments. Also, please subscribe to this channel. This channel is going to be a place where me and my fellow Portsmouth students will be posting videos very similar to this. You know, hopefully it'll be a really good resource, especially at this time when we kind of need that sense of community, right? It's going to be a really good place to get some kind of study tips and other things about Portsmouth and life studying here at the University of Portsmouth. Thank you ever so much for listening and joining this video, and yeah, see you later.